Hey, seventh graders, happy Monday, May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Um, Hope your day's going well. Uh, Want to outline for you what's going on this week and let you know what you need to be reading and thinking about. We're talking about World War II this week. We have on lesson plans a um, copy of the chapter online that you can look at, chapter 26, I believe, online of World War II, and reading all about uh, what I'm going to call the finest hour, right, uh, for America, for Britain, um, for the Allies. This is one of our highlights, where we can, I think, rightfully be proud of the the service of our country in the world in world history. So I think one of our better moments in American history. So we can be proud of it and be thankful that men and women sacrificed uh, for our country and for our world. So um, the 1930s is an era not only of Great Depression, but whenever there is tough times, sometimes powerful people will use those tough times to to gain advantage, to grab power, and we see that in the 1930s, the rise of dictators. In the 1930s, Stalin in Russia, Adolf Hitler in Germany, and Benito Mussolini in Italy. All three of these men um, used the time, the 1930s, the time of uh, worldwide depression, poverty, to convince people that they had a vision to lead these people out of poverty, out of suffering, and it would require them to get more power to do that. And so Stalin, Hitler, and Mussolini all represent three guys who uh, used the 1930s as a time to almost become a dictator is almost like a king, right? Their way or the highway. Although neither of these three guys would have called themselves king-like, their actions were king-like. And then the fourth part of the the rise of dictators is Japan. Japan doesn't come, it's strange in the sense it doesn't come to power under one person, but under rather the military in Japan. Japan's military becomes sort of their dictator. And, uh, and we often forget about Japanese involvement in World War II. We know about the ending of World War II with the nuclear bombs, but in the 1930s, Japan was doing some really awful things. We think about the awfulness of Hitler and the awfulness of Stalin and Mussolini, but we often overlook the awfulness of what Japan was doing in China. They invaded China and did some horrific things, things that I don't really want to get into today. You can do some research on your own and talk about that and think about that with maybe your parents. There's some awful actions that are taken by the Japanese, and so um, these four countries, there's a growing sense of um, aggression in all four countries, um, but one of them is going to turn and fight with us, and thankfully so. Russia is going to turn and fight with us, and Germany is going to rise again, and they're the ones who, in some ways, provoke World War II uh, by themselves. Uh, and at first, they um, they could just be seen as, hey, we want to get back to our World War One properties, right? Remember, after World War One, they have to sign the Treaty of Versailles that makes them give up some land, and they they see World War Two as maybe their attempt to get it back. And at first, before World War Two begins, some of the Western countries are thinking, well, we'll just let them have some of their lands back, right? Uh, People that speak German, well, maybe they belong in Germany. And uh, Hitler's going to go beyond just taking over former German territories, and and that's where we're going to see some problems in this week's chapter. But Germany wants to get back to their former glory, and Adolf Hitler is going to promise them uh, the ability to do it, and he does in some ways fulfill his promise. He gets very close to winning a world war with very few people on his side. It's pretty amazing and pretty scary, and um, we should recognize that history here is kind of on a hinge, and it's not guaranteed the good guys always win. People had to fight to stop the bad guys, and so we'll see that in this chapter. All right, this week read chapter 26, World War II. Our narration will be due a week from tomorrow, and Tuesday and Friday we'll have Zoom classes to discuss our readings. All right, see ya. Bye.